Welcome to the Worship Luthier, and finally we've reached the end of this series, and I'm excited to show you the final product of the Albatross Acoustic guitar build, the thin line guitar that I've designed myself, totally unique. And in this video I'm going to show you how I made the neck, how I assembled the guitar, how I made the bridge, and put the strings on, the tuners and everything else, and set up the guitar. So that's the end of the road. If you missed some of the other episodes, go back and watch them. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you continue watching with me right till the end. So I decided to make this neck out of mahogany. So I've got a 3-piece mahogany blank that I'm putting onto my CNC, and I use the masking tape and super glue method, and there you can see I actually have a plank in position which is already aligned with the axes of the CNC, and I use the edge of the blank to then line it up so that I get my center line perfectly parallel to the center of my blank. In this clip, I'm cutting out the truss rod slot with a 6mm cutter. The next step is to create the headstock angle, and here I'm using my ball nose cutter to cut away all the wood to create the headstock angle, and I'm using around about 10 degrees for my headstocks. I then took the blank to my bandsaw and took away a lot of the waste material that I don't need. This just makes life easier for my CNC, so there's not so much wood to take away. So I'm cutting away the back of the headstock first of all, and then I went all the way down the neck and took away the excess material. I took the blank to my drum sander and started out by sanding the back of the heel. So this created a parallel surface that I'm going to use as the gluing surface when I mount the neck into the body. I also, on the drum sander, sanded the back of the headstock and also created the curve for the back of the volute. The next step in the process is to glue up the neck. So having made the fretboard previously, I can now assemble the fretboard onto the neck. My process is that I clamp everything together, line it up perfectly, and then you can see I'm drilling a very small 2mm hole to put a nail into, so that keeps the assembly in position once I'm gluing it up so it doesn't shift around. So I've got 2 of those pins that I use for alignment during the glue up process. I then take it all apart, apply the glue, put the pins in position and clamp it all up on the edge of my workbench, because that's a nice straight flat surface to make sure that the neck doesn't bend or twist during the glue up process. Once everything is dry I took the neck back to my bandsaw, cut away the excess material around the headstock. You can see I've already glued the headstock veneer in position. My headstock veneer I cut out on the CNC so I can get the shape, and also the cutouts for the logo and truss rod cover, and also the hole positions. So once that's all glued on and dry, I can then just cut away the excess material and then sand it down to the edge. Here I'm starting the sanding process, just going around the outside, taking away the excess material and carefully sanding down till I get to the headstock veneer. I use my belt sander to do the inside curves when I'm sanding the headstock, as it has a nice curve on each end. There's a lot of handwork to do even if I'm using my CNC machine, and here I've got to clean up the edge of the neck, take away the material left behind by the CNC and create the final shape of the neck, blend it nicely into the fret board. So this is all a manual process, first using a rasp and then a file and then moving into a sandpapering process. So these finer transitions I have to do all by hand. Then I started the sanding process on the neck. Here I'm using my orbital sander just to get the surface smooth and to help the transitions flow nicely into each other. So in order to get my neck shape nice and smooth at the back, I use a strip of sandpaper and I pull it over the surface. That blends in that curve nicely and takes away all the ridges that might have been left behind by the orbital sander. I then took the neck to my drill press and using the headstock veneer holes as a guide, I then drilled right through from both sides to prevent any tear out. I actually drill a guide hole first and then I drill from both sides. So the next step in the process is to start putting the frets into position, and I knock them in by hand just on the edges and then take them to my fret press, which has a caul with the 12-inch radius mounted into it, and then firmly press them into position. Fretwork does take a lot of time and patience, so here I'm putting masking tape onto my fretboard to prevent it from getting damaged, and then I take a needle file and file away my fret ends. At this stage I've already sanded the edges of my frets and put the bevel in position. So this process is just to try and take the edges away, so that when you move your hand up and down the fretboard, you don't feel those sharp edges. After completing all the fretwork, I went back to the body, and I had to cut out the neck pocket. And because I have a carved back on the guitar, it's really tricky to put it back into the CNC. So I had to actually do this all by hand. I made a template on my CNC for the neck pocket and then clamped it into position. Drilled out a lot of the waste material by hand using my hand drill. That's roughly 35 millimeters deep. And then after that, went to get hold of my hand router with a guide bearing on it so that it could follow the template. So here I'm using my Makita router to take away the material and create the neck pocket following the template. Once my neck pocket was done, I had to make the bridge out of Indian rosewood, and that I did with my CNC. So here the CNC is creating the curve on the top of the bridge with my ball nose cutter. I then put my 3mm cutter in the CNC and then cut around the outside, as well as cut all the holes for the strings. The CNC also cut the slot for the saddle to fit into. I then get to one of the most exciting steps in the process, and that's when I join the neck to the body. And this is when you finally have a guitar in your hands. This is when you can start seeing what the guitar is going to look and feel like. And here I'm putting the glue into position and then gluing it up with my G-clamp. After gluing the bridge into position, the way that I managed to do that was part of the template that I'd created for the neck pocket was also the holes for the bridge pins. So while I was doing the neck pocket, I actually drilled out the holes for the bridge pins. That left me with holes that I could use for alignment in positioning the bridge. So when I glued the bridge on, I had pins in position to keep it where it needed to go. After it was dry, I could take the clamps off and then start reaming out the holes. And here you can see me test fitting all the bridge pins into position. As you know, they are tapered, so it's a painstaking process of going one by one and gently taking away material until it's exactly the right size. I then started fitting the rest of the hardware. I chose gold tuners and gold strap buttons, which I'm putting into position here. I think the gold goes really well with the dark wood. Well, thanks for watching this video and watching the whole series with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I've got more exciting videos coming, so keep watching, and thanks for enjoying this journey with me.